this has increased the existing barriers for people with disabilities to fully participate in the world of work. As companies committed to disability and inclusion, the members of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network need to be especially proactive in reminding everybody that persons with disabilities need to be a priority group in the socio-economic response that institutions and companies are providing to the crisis. We are going, therefore, to adopt a declaration in a few days. That's happening on November 30th at our annual virtual conference. So let me take this opportunity as well to invite you all to attend this. I would like you also to invite to briefly present the network at this event. Just let me finish by reaffirming the commitment of the ILO KBDN to support Kenya Business and Disability Network. We really look forward to more companies joining and for many good initiatives to unfold. As the world is struggling with the human and economic impact of the need for collaborative strategic alliances like this one between stakeholders to create social dialogue is really more necessary now than ever. So thank you all.
Thank you very much, Pilar Rogers. We appreciate that comment and thank you for the invitation to the conference on November the 30th. That is well noted and appreciated. I'd like to call again Mr. Wellington Chibebe. If Mr. Chibebe is still there, we would like to invite you to make a comment about this space, the digital launch of the Kenya Business Disability Network. Is Mr. Chibebe still there?
Yes, I'm still there.
Welcome, sir. Your comments, please, for the next 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. For the interest of time, or in the interest of time, I will say all protocols observed. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ILO, it is my pleasure to join you this morning during the launch of the Kenya Business and Disability Network. This is an important milestone in the promotion of access to decent work for persons with disabilities in line with UN Goal number 8. ILO, together with governments and employers and workers' organizations, as well as with representative organizations of persons with disabilities, works on promoting the labor market inclusion of persons with disabilities through inclusive employment approach. This approach is anchored in ILO Convention 111 concerning discrimination in respect of employment and occupation, which is one of the ILO fundamental conventions. Kenya
could I ask you to kindly tilt your screen? Could you kindly tilt your screen so we can see you?
Come again?
Please tilt your screen so, yes. That's perfect, sir. Thank you.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. Please proceed.
In recent years, a broad range of additional prohibited grounds of discrimination, including real and perceived HIV status, age, disability, sexual orientation, and gender identity have been included in national legislation. The ILO Convention covers discrimination in relation to access to education, vocational training, access to employment, and to particular occupations, as well as terms and conditions of employment. Ladies and gentlemen, persons with disabilities in Kenya are often unemployed and underemployed, and most of those in employment working their own or family businesses and agricultural holdings. This is despite the fact that Kenya has a very progressive constitution and a comprehensive Persons with Disabilities Act that clearly outlines the importance of the inclusion of persons with disabilities in employment. Our call to employers and companies through the Kenya Business and Disability Network is to open themselves up to increasing opportunities for persons with disabilities as their employees, their customers, and as part of their community. This call goes beyond looking at disability as a fringe issue or dealing with it from a humanitarian perspective, but acknowledging that persons with disabilities are entitled to the same rights as persons without disabilities, and that diversity is in the workplace strengthens business. It is our hope that through the network and with support from Federation of Kenya Employers, ILO Global Business and Disability Network, and associates, employers and companies will be able to dialogue with workers' organizations and the government to influence policy legislation on disability so as to ensure a win-win scenario for all. As I conclude, it is important to note that ILO is advocating for state parties to ratify its recent instruments, Convention 190 and Recommendation 206, on the elimination of violence and harassment in the world of work. Violence and harassment in the world of work deprives people of their dignity and is incompatible with social justice and decent work. On behalf of the ILO, we affirm our support to persons with disabilities in Kenya, and we shall continually promote our decent work agenda, and this is truly inclusive of them. We appreciate the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office through the Innovation to Inclusion Project for supporting this critical work in Kenya. We also appreciate the Federation of Kenya Employers for hosting the network and providing leadership on inclusive employment in the country. I thank you. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Mr. Chebebe. We appreciate your comments and your support for this well-worthy initiative. Lastly, I would like to invite Ms. Josephine Gitonga from the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, who have assisted greatly in pulling together this initiative. Josephine Gitonga, are you on?
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly, Josephine. Welcome on board. You've got 3 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I thank you for including us in this program. The Executive Director, FKE, Mrs. Jacqueline Mugo, the Executive Director, National Council for Persons with Disability, Mr. James Dwiga, representatives from ILO, members of the Kenya Business Disability Network that we are launching today, and all invited guests. Good morning. My name is Josephine Gitonga from the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, and I would like to communicate apologies from my colleague Zoe Hensby, who was going to be with you but was not able to join today. So I am representing.
Let me interrupt you briefly. We're asking you to turn on your video if possible.
Oh, sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you, Josephine. Please proceed.
Am I visible now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Was I audible before?
Yes, we could hear you.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Thank you then. So I'll get on to the remarks that we would want to make in this event. It is a great pleasure to witness this important milestone, the Kenya Business Development Network being launched. From the time we began thinking about it and talking about it and the potential that it has for bringing together the private sector to disability inclusion, it has been a point of constant discussions and questions to my colleagues at Leonard Cheshire. I think Elizabeth can attest to this, that I've always been one person who's been asking, when are we having this network coming on, because of its importance. And therefore, this for me reminds us of the wonderful time that we had back in July 2018, when Kenya, the UK, and International Disability Alliance led the world in hosting the first ever Global Disability Summit in London. And we do remember that this was a time when the private sector strategic partnership discussion was held, and the importance was to increase the attention to disability inclusion. We did witness a lot of interest at the time from private sector in being part of a movement to end unnecessary exclusion that people with disabilities have had for a long time. So at that time, the business leaders that were present, and including the government that were there and the donor agencies, all committed to deliver real and lasting change for people with disabilities across the globe. And so this commitment is coming clear and alive for us today. It is an exciting moment. And as we prepare to ensure that the private sector contributes to real lasting change, let's recognize that stigma and discrimination is the biggest barrier to inclusion. And we may have this business network, but if we don't address some of these barriers, we may still continue to, inhibit achievement for the rights of people with disabilities. And therefore, we do have a shared responsibility, all of us, to ensure that the momentum that we created from the Global Disability Summit continues and we deliver our promises. So on our part, the UK has made it clear that disability inclusion must be at the center of all of UK aid, embedded throughout all our programs and policy decisions. And this is a promise that we intend to keep. And we are keen to learn from others and to keep, so that we can keep this commitment going. So we promise to continue being part and parcel of everyone. And this disability network for us is going to be one that we'll be proud to be part of. We are delighted to be associated with the I2I program. Thank you very much, Leonard Cheshire, through which this event is finally happening. And thank you, FKA, for hosting this initiative, which is going to be very important. And one of the critical aspects of the program that remains dear to us is that 40% of persons benefiting from economic inclusion and employment will be women. And we hope that this will be celebrated at some point in the program. We do really want to see this happening. So just to note that the UK is supporting a number of other disability inclusive initiatives in the country. We do have an innovation in developing assistive technology, an ambition to enable life-changing assistive devices to increase inclusion. And we also have a disability development program which incorporates a research component to tell us what works to enable sustainable access to quality and essential services. For instance, health, education, access to livelihoods. And also, I'm proud to say that we are supporting a process to enable generation and use of disability inclusive data in government and planning and policies. And KNBS for us is a very good partner in that cause. So it's my hope that all this effort will contribute to building this network, that it becomes a forum through which we will learn by sharing successes and challenges to become better at what we do. Together we can do more. We must collaborate. We must keep the level of high, and so that now disability inclusion can receive the treatment it deserves. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude by wishing all of you the best moving forward. Let this network be a real changing initiative for all of us and for bringing in the private sector in numbers. And I hope the discussions that continue will lead to actions towards realizing disability mainstreaming across all sectors. The knowledge, the experience, and the commitment of everyone else has a potential to make disability inclusion a reality in Kenya. So I'm really delighted to offer these sentiments, and thank you, all of you, and have a good time.
Thank you, Ms. Josephine.
Your sentiments. In the course of the few hours that we've been on, we've been listening to the organizations that will not just survive, the ones that will thrive, will have to be all-inclusive, will have to be the ones that shape their enterprises by being all-inclusive. It is companies like these and enterprises like these that we want to encourage to register with this network, with the Kenya Business Disability Network, and ensure that they are very much part of the agenda going forward, so that enterprises that will survive might fall off, but they were looking for those that will thrive. They will stay on with their journey. Now, let me currently introduce Stephen Obiro, the head of advocacy and partnership. Mr. Obiro will be representing Mrs. Jacqueline Mugo for this initiative. Karibu, Mr. Obiro, again. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates, and thank you, Archie. On behalf of Jacqueline Mugo, the Secretary General for Business Africa and the Chief Executive Officer for the Federation of Kenya Employers, I want to welcome you all once again for this important launch. Our Cabinet Secretary, who was with us yesterday to start this conference, the Global Spokesperson, Professor Mthunzi Mdwaba, our National President, Dr. Habil Olaka, the ILO Director, Mr. Chibebe, the IE Secretary General that was with us, the Secretary General for KOTU, Brother Tuoli, the FKE Vice Presidents that are present, Gilda Odera and Mr. Mike Macharia, the other CEOs of the employer organizations, Mr. Pio from Uganda, Lindiwe from Lesotho, and the others, the FKE Management Board, the ILO Global Business and Disability Network Chairperson, the Executive Officer of the National Council of Persons with Disability, the representative of the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, leaders of employers organizations from across Africa, industry leaders present and other policymakers, our development partners, members of the Federation of Kenya Employers, delegates present, ladies and gentlemen, we are very pleased that you could join us in this morning to launch the Kenya Business and Disability Network during our employers' annual conference. We are delighted to host this network and also the support that we are having from ILO and from the FCDO to fund this network. The Kenya Business and Disability Network is an association for us as employers to see how we can promote the issues of inclusion and have mutual respect and understanding. We are making a comprehensive business case for the employment of persons with disability by creating a national disability network that is a safe space for employers towards this key discourse. We are proud of our support and leadership of this cause amongst employers, and we are committed in ensuring we focus on it on countrywide. We do acknowledge that many employers are willing and are able to employ persons with disability, and through this network we are going to work together to ensure that we support employers who may want to make some reasonable adjustments to ensure that they do accommodate persons with disability at workplace. It is become critical for the employers to get support from each other and from the associate members of the network who are influential players in the disability sector. The Kenya Business and Disability Network, our pool of associates are ready and willing to support employers in building their disability confidence. We are collaboratively developing tools and guides on the different aspects on the employer perspective on how they can understand the issues of disability and how they can be sensitized on the mandate and how they can accommodate the persons with disability. And also as the Federation, we are providing that technical support to employers, looking at how the Global Business and Disability Network has been coordinated and modeled, so that then the employers get the support they need to be able to employ persons with disability. Ladies and gentlemen, at the Federation of Kenya Employers, we are alive to the fact that at times, persons with disability may not have the requisite skills for the labor market due to the vulnerabilities and lack of access to right learning environments. We acknowledge that a conscientious effort has to be made by stakeholders to ensure inclusive education and vocational training systems. Through dialogues with key stakeholders in the skills sector, especially the government, we aim to influence the access of persons with disability to these key skills and access by employers to skilled persons with disability. We also call upon workers' representatives, NGOs, disabled person organizations, and civil society partners to support employers by ensuring that we are able to establish a pipeline of employment-ready persons with disability. One of the key aspirations of the Kenya Business and Disability Network that FKA has established would be to see a convergence of initiatives, interventions, and dialogue that translates into the increased employments of persons with disability in all sectors countrywide. It therefore becomes critical for us to be at the forefront in ensuring successful outcomes for employers that leads to the realization of these aspirations. Guided by the 10 principles of the Kenya Business and Disability Network, this is not only achievable but quite timely, since Kenya committed to the improving lives of persons with disability and to enhance opportunities for the development of their economic potential during 2018 Global Disability Network. We acknowledge that employers and companies have been diversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, which shows no signs of dissipating. Being cognizant of this, it is important for the employment sector, while looking at the new ways of work and industry, and while building our resilient enterprises, that we remember it is our duty as responsible corporates to leave no one behind, especially persons with disability who are disadvantaged even before the pandemic. We urge our delegates to join this network, supporting the Federation in this critical agenda, since it is our collective responsibility for all of us as a country to ensure that persons with disability are included in all aspects of life and are supported towards their economic empowerment. On behalf of the Federation, we appreciate ILO for their technical and financial support in the establishment of this network. We appreciate all companies and associates that have taken up the call and have already committed. We have already more than 30 companies that have already signed up to be members of the Kenya Business and Disability Network that FKE has established. We appreciate the support of the United Kingdom's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office through the Innovation to Inclusion Consortium that is led by Leonard Cheshire that has fueled this initiative. With this remark, it is now my distinct honor to ask you all to join me as we launch the Federation of Kenya Employers Business and Disability Network. Please, can you join me so that we can launch this? 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's go. Kenya Business and Disability Network. That's disability inclusion makes good business sense. The Federation of Kenya Employers. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Stephen Obiro, who is based at the Federation of Kenya Employers and is the head of advocacy and partnership, for making that landmark celebration of something that is long been waited for. And I'm proud to be part of this process with all the employers in Kenya. We're urging you to come.
Borrow an emergency fund and save for a new home with our long-term, short-term, business and group loan products. We will help you meet your goals. Call us today on 0703 024 000.
We are a reflection of you. We are a stable